Hello, hello, Booktube. I'm Scott.
I'm Nelle.
You are my interlocutor.
My what?
Interlocutor.
Okay.
Yes, we're having an interview.
Oh, I see.
It's all this Victorian literature. I am speaking weird.
Yeah.
But we have a haul today. What would Victorians call a haul?
A bounty.
That's
a bit piratey, but I don't know.
We have a bounty today. Now, you have a project where you're reading... Well, not reading, where you're buying only authors of colour or queer authors.
Yes. This started... We'll link the video below, but I started by dividing my shelf into male and female and queer and straight and white people and people of colour, and just there was no representation in my bookshelf. And I really like to have a big, fat, abundant bookshelf that I can have any kind of literature pulled from at any time. And I also think that if you don't have it, you won't read it. So
yeah,
I started the project of my next 100 books were not allowed to be cis or white people. Cis white people. They have to be people of colour or people who fall under the umbrella of LGBTQIA+. I don't know what the P is, but I heard it today.
Pan. I imagine so.
Yeah.
I'm not an expert, I'm just guessing, but it makes sense.
The big inclusive umbrella, because I want my bookshelf to be big and inclusive.
So you had a number, and we didn't look this number up before filming, so it'll appear there.
That's how many books I have left until I can buy a white author again.
And we're going to count down now. If you do slip up and buy a white author,
or if I have to buy one for like a buddy read or something, that's really what I put it in for, then I have to double down. I have to add 2 back on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I've also got a whole bunch of books here, but let's do your book haul first.
Yeah, because mine has a counter.
Because yours has a counter. It's going to go over your head, is it?
Yeah, like a crown.
Like a crown, or a tiara.
Or
a sword of Damocles.
Yeah. Dancer's hat. So, the first 2 books in this book haul I actually ordered in excess of 3 months ago, but, coronavirus. They have finally arrived. And thankfully, they are both by people of colour. The first one is Stay With Me. It's a pretty cover.
Who's it by?
Oh, you might have to help me with this one. Ayobami Adebayo.
Yeah.
I think that
may actually be close.
As close as Janelle's are going to get right now.
She's got...
It was shortlisted for the Bailey's Women's Prize of Fiction in 2017. Oh. Now, is Bailey's the sponsor for the Women's Prize for Fiction, or do they hold their own drunken Women's Prize for Fiction?
No, there's the Costas Award for something.
I need to know. Because Bailey's is an excellent sponsor for the Women's Prize for Fiction, in my opinion.
Why is that?
Well, because it gives me visions of every book coming with a bottle of Bailey's.
Mm.
Yeah, that would be fun.
If you drink your book with Bailey's, let us know in the comments.
If you drink your book, let us know in the comments. Because I'd like to know how that goes for you.
I'll have a short novella with some Bailey's on ice.
So this is a debut novel. Margaret Atwood has said, scorching, gripping, ultimately lovely. And I have no recollection of what it's about or why I bought it, because it's taken so long to get here.
Do we know the nationality of the author? I think you're going to get one of your countries.
I think it's a new country for me. It's set in Nigeria.
You've read Nigerian, haven't you?
I believe I have, yes.
But isn't it good that we've got like a glut of Nigerian authors all of a sudden?
Not sad about
how good's
the
that?
many Nigerians on my list. So that's the first little book I'm going to hold.
Speaking of Nigerian authors,
Oyinkan Braithwaite. My sister, the serial killer. My sister could be a serial killer. No. I don't think she's getting away with it, so I don't think she'd get 2. She'd just get 1 and then in jail.
I read this, and then I told my sisters that I read the book, and one sister is a serial killer, and one sister tries to help her cover up, and I told them which ones they were, thinking it was really obvious, and then they told me that I was wrong, and it would go the other way around, and they both agreed on that, and I thought that was very interesting.
I'm quite interested. Did you think that the younger was the murderer?
Yes.
Yeah, I would agree with the girls then.
I really thought the elder was more likely to help the younger cover up.
Oh, I think that the younger has some very handy knowledge as far as science and forensics
she's
goes.
A nurse, yeah.
So I think your sisters are correct and you're just wrong.
Oh.
I'm looking forward to reading this. Scott enjoyed it, and a few other people on Booktube have enjoyed it too. So
now the next one.
So these ones I ordered more recently, and they came in a little group. This one, you'll recognise the title from our Reading Around the World episode on China, The Three-Body Problem. Science fiction is a big movement in China. It is one of the subversive ways that they can talk about politics, and that gets me interested. And The Three-Body Problem is considered to be quite an important work, I guess. So that was why it made it onto my list. It starts with the Red Guards beating someone to death in China's Cultural Revolution. That got me very interested. Yeah, so...
Now, since you bought this, we've actually found out that... I don't know how do you make Cixin Liu?
Cixin Liu.
Cixin Liu. Oh, because the X is a sh. Because they have multiple shades of sh over there. Shishi to any Chinese people. Like, terrible pronunciation. But they've, I don't even know what. Anyway, they've found out, I'm trying to call everybody they anyway so that I don't slip up and do that horrible thing. They've recently claimed that the concentration camp about the Uyghurs is a good thing.
Yeah, that's a horrible thing to say, but also they are still living in communist China.
Well, they can't come out and say it's a bad thing, otherwise they may just disappear.
Yeah, so...
but
I'm reserving judgment on that particular...
Also, it's not like certain other authors who have said something horrible and then doubled and tripled and quadrupled down on multiple occasions.
No, and honestly, I haven't actually read the initial interaction where these things were said, whether they were said in response to a pointy question or whether someone has just gone on a Twitter rant. Like, those things are very different scenarios for me. So I'm still very happy and excited to read this.
All right.
Zadie Smith, no. Zadie Smith, introduced by Zadie Smith, wrote the introduction. Zora Neale Hurston, Their Eyes Were Watching God. I saw this recommended a few times and then just bit the bullet and bought it quite quickly. Is this one of the ones that you've read recently?
I started this one. I got 5 minutes into it and it just wasn't for me on the day, so I put it down and I haven't gone back to it since. I don't consider that a DNF. I just consider that a...
Yeah, okay, I'm going back to that later.
Like, this is not a me-today book.
I think this is a classic. Like, this is...
Yeah, it's like 1930s or something.
Quite an... Yeah, it's not a new release. So I'm always interested in sort of classics from, you know, not your white dudes, you know, white English men or even Americans. And then my first Gloria Nelle book, I was watching... Who was it? I was watching a booktuber, and they were talking about a different Gloria Nelle book, which is about women from a more affluent area, and is related to the women of Brewster Place, but is sort of not quite a sequel. Anyway, she was talking about that, and in her discussion of that, she mentioned the women of Brewster Place a number of times, and that piqued my interest. So I have selected this as my first Gloria Nelle book. I have every expectation that this will turn into quite a good relationship with this author from everything that I have. I've read some snippets, and her writing is delicious.
And the book has French flaps, which is so handy to use as a bookmark.
I love them. So nice. Now, the rest of my haul came from one place. I have been saying through this little project that people of colour are a little bit easier. You can Google people and see what colour their skin is. You can look at the name and see if it's a bit ethnic and, you know, make assumptions and then investigate. But it's what we said to NashwaS the other day, that James Baldwin has a white-sounding name, but you would never know that James Baldwin was a gay man from his name, would you? No, you would never. And finding, you know, is X author gay into Google isn't necessarily a productive search. And especially when you don't actually mean gay, you mean anyone under that umbrella. We were watching Jen the Librarian, and she said something about going to Gay Is the Word, which is her local queer bookshop, and I had an aha moment because my sister being queer, I knew the name of our local queer bookshop, and I jumped online and said to see if they had an online presence, and they do. They have an excellent online bookshop. The Hare and the Hyena, huge, ridiculous range, and super quick at delivery they were. So I have this little haul within a haul, all from the Hare and the Hyena, all queer authors, all pretty much all queer subject matter, actually. So, haha. Paul Takes the Form of a Mortal Girl by Andrea Lawler is a queer coming-of-age story, I believe, about a trans woman. Oh, actually, it's a little bit. It's definitely gender fluidity and gender
non-binary.
Yeah, we're testing the limits of gender. Paul has also got a secret. He's a shapeshifter. So it's about Paul, who is a shapeshifter.
Go Paul.
And then I've got Under the Udalla Trees by Chinelo Okparantha. Again, Nigeria.
Jeez, we really do.
I love a bit of Nigeria at the moment.
Gay Nigerian authors as well.
Must be a little... Oh, but anyway, so this is set against the backdrop of the Nigerian Civil War, which is what actually drew my attention to it. I'm finding a lot when looking for queer books, there's a lot of romance that gets promoted, and romance isn't really my thing. So I am tending to look for, if you've got queer books that are adult fiction that are not romance, comment below, because I'm into that.
This one sounds like one to read with Half of a Yellow Sun, because they're about the same thing.
Both set against the same time period.
Actually, there's another one. There's a classic, and I can't think of the name. I read it earlier in the year. It's about the Nigerian Civil War. You've
got to be careful when you group books, that you don't end up with similar ones together that sort of blend into each other and become a bit of a forgettable mush.
You start to wonder what one character is doing, and you realise
it's from the other book. Yeah. That's it. But I do like a good matchy set. This is I think in the vein of sort of queer love stories and YA fiction. I think a love story for Bewildered Girls by Emma Morgan. Being Emily.
What's Being Emily about?
Um,
Also, if our little fans are watching, hello, Emily.
Hello. This is about this is a young adult fiction again, and it's a transition story.
All right, 2 to go.
2 to go. A Traveller at the Gates of Wisdom by John Boyne. This looks multi-generational. This one gave me vibes of East of Eden, one mother and 2 sons, and one with his father's violence in his blood, one who lives out his mother's artistry. One leaves, one stays. A Traveller at the Gates of Wisdom. I think that was the vibe that made me plump for that one.
John Boyne's got a reputation for doing something. The Heart's Invisible Fury, but I think he said something or something.
Oh, he said something.
He did.
Or something.
Or something. I think it was not very nice, but it's...
I have very much trusted the Hare and the Hyena to vet these authors for me, to be honest.
So we might have some queer white supremacists.
If we do, I take no responsibility for this particular batch. This one, Invented Lives by Andrea Goldsmith. This got my attention because it's set in Melbourne, which is where we're from, but it's about people who are sort of the next generation of an immigrant family from Russia. And my family is from what used to be part of the USSR, but is not part of Russia. So that sort of cultural connection is what got my interest. And it's about Jewishness and sexual freedom and Russia and Melbourne and AIDS and all the things. So this sounds
very good, actually, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm a bit keen on this one. This one might get picked up pretty soon. So that's the end of my little haul, and that means I have this many books to go.
The tiara number.
Yeah, before I can buy frivolously again. Well, although I don't think I'll ever buy quite as unconsciously again, ever.
I'm trying my little experiment is to buy unconsciously and then to buy consciously to balance it. So we'll see how that goes over a time period. Anyway, so what have I got? I've got a bunch of books here, so let's rip through them quickly. This is The Unwomanly Face of War by Svetlana Alexandrovich. This is a non-fiction book, which we're going to be reading in the month of November.
In the non-fiction month.
Yeah, for non-fiction November. And we're going to buddy read this with the exceptional Kim at K. Becker's Books.
Yeah.
If you haven't checked her channel out, check her channel out. She's awesome.
Yeah. This is anyone we do a buddy read with because we don't talk to losers.
I mean, only cool losers.
Only cool losers.
Only cool losers.
Such a nerdy justification.
Then I've got The Fortune of the Ruans by Emile Zola. If you watched the rap I did, you will know what I think of the last Zola book I bought.
He wants to marry Emile Zola. That might involve some
necromancy. It's not cool.
Grave robbing.
Yeah. I'm pretty open with whatever you want to do, but necromancy and that sort of stuff is...
Anyway, I feel that he loves Emile Zola more than me.
I was reading Germinal as part of the readathon that Pauline at Dancing Lawns hosted, and she had a little chat in Goodreads, and somebody said, why isn't Zola, like, why isn't he up there? And somebody else had a theory about, you know, Austen starts with A, and the Brontes start with B, and Dickens starts with D, and all of these big name authors, you know, Dumas is another D, like...
I suspect that communist is a dirty word in a certain massive nation that does lots of book printing, so...
Which nation are you talking about?
I have no idea.
I think there would be a few other authors, like Orwell, that might get a bit...
I haven't read Zola, so I can't comment on how blatantly communist he is, but...
He's not getting censored unless you are censoring others, I don't think. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
think it's about censorship. I think it's about just like dampening their opportunities.
Yes. Also, I've only read 2 Zola books, while Germinal has like socialist themes, and it's very hard not to take a socialist view from it. Therese Raquin does not.
No, it's disappointing.
It's just a different book. It's got feminist themes running through it, so
Can't have feminism without the social revolution.
Well, I suspect that is true, but it's... I mean, it is true, but it's... Anyway, we're going off topic. I basically...
That's what we do.
That is our brand. I basically thought I hadn't read enough of Zola's other works, and so when I was doing a buy, I searched for his name, and this was literally the first one that came up in the search that wasn't Germinal.
So you bought it.
So I bought it. I paid no more attention to it than that.
I think we've all got authors like that are a bit of an auto buy. And some of them you deeply consider which book you're going to read next of their collection. And other ones you're just like, what don't I have? Yoink.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and look, Zola has written all of his books, well, not all of his books, a lot of his books follow this big family and all the members of the family, and the characters like repeat. So the main character in Germinal is Etienne Lardner, and he had appeared in an earlier book. So if you had have read the earlier book, you would have gotten an idea of his backstory, and I think he got sacked for beating up his boss, is the backstory, which kind of fits in well. Yeah. But... so it's quite interesting that they're linked, and one half of the family is rich and one half of the family is poor.
That sounds like a fun one to figure out which order is like the optimum order to read in.
Yeah, but I think they're all standalone novels as well, so you don't have to.
Yeah.
The next one, you'll have seen this one, Ice Candy Man by Bapsi Sidwa. If you had have watched our chat with NashwaS, you would see that I have hauled this book recently. This is about the forging of India and Pakistan, and how...
What is known as the partition.
White people basically fuck things up by making decisions for other nations. It sounds fascinating. It's through the eyes of a 7-year-old girl. Salman Rushdie has said nice things about this on the back, which is not an author I particularly enjoy. But... I suspect Salman Rushdie is excellent at what he does, and I don't enjoy what he does.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Like, but that one is one that I definitely want to read soon. This one looks like I've started it because of the bookmark, but...
It just came with one?
It just came with one. This is part of my little Hardy buying experiment. I wanted to buy, like, the entire works of Thomas Hardy in a box set, or all of the novels in a box set.
Just in the same cover.
So that I had it. But nobody's selling that, which, what the fuck?
I do think that book publishers have no concept of how completionist real readers are, and how much a beautiful set of their favourite author is
exactly, and like
an object of desire.
You can get the cloth-bound classics of Hardy's novels, but you can only get Jude, Tess, Far from the Madding Crowd, and The Mayor of Casterbridge,
which is not complete, which is frustrating.
Exactly, and especially Return of the Native is one of my absolute favourite Hardy novels. It's either this or Tess as my second behind Jude, and anyway. So I bought this because of all the Penguin classics that they had, I liked this cover the best. I thought that I would see what the text was like, and to see whether that's the edition that I will
get all of them in.
Yeah.
So you've at least got a matching sort of...
Yeah, and Penguin classics have all of them together. This one is Jill by Amy Dillon. This is a lesbian coming-of-age adventure-sounding novel. Sounds awesome. I think Katie at Books and Things said this was everything she wanted Madame Bovary to be and more.
I'm excited that it's a Welsh lady.
Yeah, it's Welsh. And I actually got two by Amy Dillon. I also got a burglary, which this time that bookmark means I have started the book. And this one sounds like it's a completely different book. I basically decided to start with this one because on Goodreads there's like 7 people who have read it, and I'm like, oh, I will have something that nobody else has. Although now that I'm saying this, somebody else will go, oh, I liked Jill, I will buy a burglary. But whatever, by the time they get to it with their massive TBR shelf and COVID, I will have finished it. But yeah, I hope to finish that one before the end of the month. We'll see. This is one that I'm very excited to get to. Sam at Paper Not Books read this and loved this. But
she's doing a little Booker shortlist project, isn't she?
Yeah, she's reading some Booker. She said she read Girl, Woman, Other and Testaments and had opinions over which one should have won last year's Booker. And
I have opinions, and I haven't even read the one that I think should have won.
You should. It's excellent.
Everyone says it's excellent, but I don't think that Testaments was Margaret's best work.
No, I think that was an author win rather than a book win.
I think it was a retrospective win for the impact of Handmaid's Tale on the discussion of feminism.
Yes. Anyway, this is nothing to do with... I mean, it probably is heaps to do with feminism, actually. This is nothing to do with Margaret Atwood. I bought this book again. This is recommended by Salman Rushdie on the back. What's going on?
Maybe he gives out those quotes real cheap.
Yeah.
Maybe he's just like the guy to go to for a back of a book quote.
Rushdie, give us a quote. We'll take the fatwa off you.
He's on Fiverr.
He's on Fiverr. I'll sell you a quote. Here are 20. See which one works best for your novel. Well, I bought this from another author's recommendation. So one of the things that we are trying to do is read from countries and ethnicities and groups of people that we have not read from before. And this is an Ethiopian novel. And I just searched for Ethiopian novels and this came up. And then I clicked on it, and it's recommended by Marlon James.
Who you love.
I'll read a Marlon James recommendation all day long. So I'm very much looking forward to this. Then I found out that it was on the Booker long list, and then subsequently the Booker short list. And people are reading it and saying it's awesome. So hopefully I have a similar experience.
Yeah, I'm quite pleased you bought this. It saves me $20.
It saves you $20. All right, I have 3 to go. I saw this on Sara MG Reads. I thought this was great for non-fiction November. It's Misquoting Jesus. This is just right up my conspiracy theory. I love when I was like,
Sorry, can you just rescue my books?
oh, Bryn, you silly dog. You hold it up. And
I think he's trying to get you to throw his ball.
I know.
And he's doing that by throwing his ball at my stack of books on the floor.
Yeah. So Sara MG Reads recommended this. I really liked conspiracy theories when I was 12, and I still like conspiracy theories now, but I need a little bit more to my conspiracy.
Yeah.
I need them to actually have something going on. Anyway, this sounded really interesting. It was about all the times the Bible has been translated and changed and amended and so on throughout history.
Tweaked.
And how those meanings have been changed and how they could have been changed for political reasons and what was going on. And because, it's been 2,000 years.
And it's not just retranslations, but like when the Bible was first written, you didn't have a laser photocopier to create another copy.
Yeah.
You had to trust a scribe to authentically copy from edition to edition. So
yeah. So there's lots of
room to make errors or legitimate errors.
I mean, we know about some. We know about the Council of Nicaea, where Constantine selected which Gospels went into the Bible. Like, an emperor of Rome just said, "Oh, these are the ones we're going to keep."
And the rest,
it's too complicated. I'm not sure if I've misremembered that or not. But somebody might be able to.
Well, you'll know by the time you've finished this, I'm sure, because this looks super interesting.
Yeah, so this is something I hope to pick up in November for the non-fiction month. So I've got 2 to go. This one here, Mouse. This is a graphics novel. It is a retelling of World War II through mice and cats. The mice are the Jews and the cats are the Nazis. I know nothing about it other than
mice and cats. But lots of people are reading graphics novels now. I thought, well, this is like the classic graphics novel. This does interest me too, so I think once you're done with it, I might have a crack.
Yeah, so I thought I'd give that a shot.
I like the weight of it, like the density of... Yeah. Feels like a high quality print.
I hope so. And then the last one, this is tiny. Look at how small this is.
Oh my god, it looks even tinier.
It's like almost notepad size. This, you can't read it. It's actually beautiful. Let's put it nicely close so you can. So it's Mary Seacole, who is a Victorian author. When we were looking at what books we might read in Victober and what there was out there, I decided to see how many authors of colour I could find, and basically it's Mary Seacole or nobody. So I bought this book, but I really, with the way things have been going with COVID and post here, I didn't expect to get it by the end of this. So I just bought it and I'm like, oh, well, I'll have it and maybe I'll read it next year. But I've got it and I've started it.
Well, that's good.
So
it looks teeny.
Yeah.
How many pages is it? It's like
200, I think.
It's like a little Bible. It's all like gold sprayed edges and the paper's super thin, and 207 by the looks of it.
Yeah.
But there's such teeny pages. Do you find your time per page is really short?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm actually finding it a little bit too small.
No. It's because you're large. It doesn't look as teeny in my hands.
No. The other thing, like, this is, sometimes I put something underneath the line of words I'm reading, like a bookmark or something.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I lost my bookmark because the bookmark is a little bit of a ribbon in this.
Yeah.
So I wanted something, and earlier today I had a credit card and I was going down with a credit card, and that was the right size. That gives you an idea of how small this book is.
Oh, you used the ribbon.
Yeah, it's too hard.
Your hands are too big.
Yeah. This is the story. She's called the Black Florence Nightingale. She's like half Jamaican, half Scottish. In the little bit that I read, she's traveling to California, which wouldn't been part of America back when she was traveling to it, from Jamaica to California, and she has sort of gone over, like she's got on a boat, but she didn't want to go around the Cape of Horn, and she's talking about the people she's meeting. It was quite, the little bit I've read was quite onto the black racism, and then sort of denounced the local Latino population. So
awesome.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye out for that. But it's hard to tell one or two comments if they're actually accurate or racist or misunderstandings or,
Yeah.
But she did call the Latino race dirty. Well, she didn't call Latino. She said the natives were dirty. So,
okay.
Yeah, which is not a nice thing to say. But let's give her a chance and read all of her work before we judge her.
Yeah, okay.
All right, because she did denounce slavery at the same time.
Yeah.
So, which is not very controversial.
No.
Oh, pretty. Anyway, that's all we've got.
That's our haul.
That's a long video too, isn't it?
Hope you enjoyed it.
Bye.